Jesus is getting tighter and tighter. The little faith I used to have has been completely shattered. If God existed, he would certainly not have allowed human beings to be thrown into furnaces alive, or the heads of little children to be smashed with the butts of guns, or shoved into sacks and gassed to death. Sounds like a fairy tale. Those who haven't seen these things would never believe it. But it's no myth. It's the truth.
These words were written in 1943 by a 14-year-old Jewish girl called Rutka Laskier. The diary she kept in the ghetto of Bedzin in Poland remained hidden from the world for over 60 years. When it came to light in 2006, Rutka was dubbed the Polish Anne Frank. Zahava Scherz is Rutka's half-sister, but she didn't even know of Rutka's existence until she herself was 14. Now, she's on a journey to discover the sister she never knew.
I was born in Israel. I was an only child, and we were a family of 3. Very happy family and very small family.
Like many children in Israel after the war, Zahava grew up with no extended family.
But when I was about 14 years old, I discovered an album which was not in the regular place where my parents used to keep albums. My eye caught this picture of 2 children, and I saw that the girl looks very much like me. I decided that I'm going to ask my father, who is this? And he said, these are Rutka and Heniush. They were my children, and they were murdered in the Holocaust by the Nazis.
Zahava's father revealed that he had been married before, in Poland before the Second World War. The family had been transported to Auschwitz. His wife and children were killed. He alone had survived. He remarried and made a new life in Israel.
This was a big shock, a big surprise to me, but we didn't talk a lot about it. My parents didn't want me to grow up with the shadows of the Holocaust.
Zahava's father, Yaakov, died in 1986. She thought she'd hear no more about his lost family. Then, in 2006, Zahava received a phone call from a man she didn't know.
He said, are you the daughter of Yaakov Laskier? And I said, yes, I am. Do you know if he had a daughter named Rutka? And I said, yes, he did. He said, I have to tell you something. In Poland, they discovered a diary written by a girl named Rutka Laskier. We think it's the daughter of your father. And I thought that I'm going to faint. Since then, I have a sister, really, because since then I started a journey discovering Rutka.
Rutka's original handwritten diary is now held at the Yad Vashem Center in Jerusalem. It's part of the collection of evidence here documenting some of the 6 million individuals who were murdered in the Holocaust, as the Nazis tried systematically to exterminate the entire Jewish people. After the Germans invaded Poland at the beginning of World War II, they forced the Jews into confined areas known as ghettos, where they could be strictly controlled. In one such ghetto, Rutka wrote her diary.
When you read Rutka's story, you read the unique testimony of the Holocaust and a story of an adolescent in very dreadful times.
Zahava has come to Yad Vashem to look at Rutka's original diary with the man who first called her about it, 80-year-old Menachem Lior. He's a Holocaust survivor and remembers Rutka from the town of Bedzin in Poland, where they both grew up.
She was a beautiful girl, and she was very, very magic. She was something special.
Zahava has been able to read the diary in translation, but this is the first time she's had a chance to examine the real thing.
This is the diary. It's very beautiful handwriting. It's unbelievable. You know, as a matter of fact, it's the first time that I have a chance to really look at it and to hold it in my hand. This is something that is unbelievably exciting for me, and I can't believe that it survived all this year and in pretty good condition, I would say. Pretty good condition.
Touching the ink for 70 years ago, and you are going back to Rutka, to all the time, to 43. It's just like electrifies, yes?
Yeah.
Something special.
Rutka's slim notebook covers just 3 months, between January and April 1943. Not yet 14, she's already a veteran of the ghetto.
Nie mogę sobie uprzytomnić, że 43 rok,
Can't believe it's already
4. rok tego piekła.
4 years since this hell began.
The diary is a potent mix. The intimate thoughts and feelings of a teenage girl, alongside vivid descriptions of Nazi atrocities.
Zdaje mi się, że ostatni już raz
I have a feeling that I'm writing for the last time. There's a roundup of Jews in town. I'm not allowed to go out, and I'm going crazy, imprisoned in my own home.
You can see the pen that she's using. You can even see her emotions. The handwriting is getting wild a little bit, and it makes you feel like you are there. All these 60-something years didn't pass by.
I think Rutka's diary and her story are special. She offers us an insight into things that we might not have otherwise, especially from these young eyes that are a mixture of youth and adult all at once, you know, adult experience with youth emotions. So I think we've got something really quite unusual here.
I was afraid from the beginning if it is a real diary, a genuine diary. After I read it, I was sure, because he mentioned something about love with a boy named Moniek, who was my friend. This can only 3 people know about it, Rutka, Moniek, and I.
And she wanted to be kissed, you know,
Well,
and
yes.
I don't think she got a chance.
She got it, yes.
She did?
She did.
Okay.
To understand more about Rutka and her diary, Zahava is making the journey from Israel to Rutka's hometown of Bedzin in Poland. Close to what was then German territory, Bedzin was occupied within days of the Nazi invasion in September 1939. 5 centuries of vibrant Jewish life and culture came to a brutal end. The Nazis began by confining the Jews to a small area of town, the ghetto.
I would like to pour out on paper all the turmoil I'm feeling inside, but I just can't do it. Sometimes I'm in such a foul mood that when I open my mouth it's only to snap at people. Other days, I'm bursting with joy and could laugh all day long.
I had a kind of empty hole in my life. I grew up with no close relatives, and it is not natural. This trip in Poland is an opening for me to know better my family. Bedzin used to be a very religious Jewish community. It was vivid and full with life. One thing which was good for me is the fact that it didn't change much. It is very much preserved. You can really feel how it used to look.
The first person Zahava wants to see is the man responsible for publishing the diary in Poland. Adam Szydlowski is Bedzin's registrar of births, deaths and marriages.
Now we're going to Kamionka.
He's also set up an organization to rehabilitate the town's lost Jewish heritage. Adam has offered to take Zahava to the house in the former ghetto where Rutka wrote her diary and where she hid it in the hope that it would one day be found.
This is the house.
This is the house of Rutka.
Wow. And where did they live? In which floor? In this floor? or-
Next floor.
Second floor.
Second floor.
Several Jewish families, including Rutka's, were made to share this house.
I'm Zahava Scherz.
The Nazis forced the Polish family who had owned it before the war to find somewhere else to live. Their daughter, Stanislava, would come back occasionally to check up on the place.
Kiedy Niemcy szli na obiad, to ja skoczyłam do domu zawsze tam zobaczyć, co się w tym domu moim dzieje. I tam właśnie na podwórku w swoim domu spotkałam Rutkę. No i od tego się zaczęła nasza znajomość.
To jest ten pokój, w którym mieszkali Laskierowie. Te warunki, które Laskierowie mieli, no i tak możemy dzisiaj określić jako w miarę dobre. W którym mieszkała Rutka. Rutka mieszkała ze swoją mamą, ze swoim tatą, z braciszkiem Joachimem.
Mum gets upset and screams at me because of Hennius. He's a sweet little thing, but sometimes he can be pretty obnoxious. I can't say anything in front of him because he goes and tells everything to the old folks.
I think the diary was a spot of privacy for Rutka. I imagine that she would write in the diary when the apartment was empty. I think you needed to have somebody to talk to, and maybe those days she had two people. She had the diary and she had Stanislava Sapinska.
Rutka była piękna, piękna dziewczyna była, zwłaszcza oczy, 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 oczy. Więc ona wiedziała, że ona jest ładna.
Although I don't usually look good in photographs, I'm in fact quite pretty. I'm tall, thin, my legs aren't too bad. I've big black eyes, short black hair, nicely outlined lips. And there's my portrait.
I'm very curious to see where did she hide the diary.
Proszę, pokażę ci to miejsce. Bardzo proszę.
Rutka zdawała sobie z tego sprawę, że kiedyś to może nastąpić. Że chciałaby, żeby ten pamiętnik pozostał. I jej pokazałam to miejsce.
To są schody, co teraz już murowane, ale w czasie getta były drewniane i możemy przypuszczać, i z tego, co Stasia mówiła, że w połączeniu już ostatniego stopnia z podłogą była naturalna nisza, którą można było wsunąć dosyć cienki. Tak, on został wsunięty pomiędzy schody a podłogę.
Wow. Unbelievable.
After the Nazis cleared the ghetto, Stanislava returned to look for the diary.
No znalazłam taki pamiętnik i włożyłam do biblioteczki i trzymałam w biblioteczce. Ja to traktowałam jako swoją osobistą pamiątkę.
It was only by chance that Adam Szydlowski got to hear about the diary over 60 years later. He immediately realized its historical value. Within months, it had been published. Stanislava sometimes misses the diary now that it's in Yad Vashem Holocaust Museum. But Zahava and Adam have a surprise for her.
I want to give you a present. It's on the memory of Rutka's diary.
Dziękuję bardzo.
This is Rutka's diary. It's a facsimile.
Tak, tak,
It's like the original.
tak.
And so you remember Rutka, you remember the diary, and you will remember what you have done for me, the memories and the sister that you gave me. It's like the original.
Dziękuję.
Proszę.
The publication of Rutka's diary was a big event in Bedzin. It's now part of the curriculum at the local elementary school.
Hello.
Hello.
Dzień dobry.
Dzień dobry. We are very glad that we have Sister Rutka Laskier over here in our school. Now we are waiting for Easter, and according to Polish traditions, we would give you these festive decorations. It's for you.
Thank you very, very much. So what is the project that the children are doing?
Project is about Jewish history in Bedzin, and we also read the diary of Rutka Laskier.
I understand you all read the book that Rutka wrote, and as you are very close to the age she was when she wrote the diary, I wonder which part did you like the best? What did you choose?
Ja wybrałam fragment, jak Rutka opisuje siebie, jaka jest.
Okay, can you read it?
Mówią, że jestem inteligentna, wykształcona.
They say I'm intelligent,
To znaczy, nie
educated.
przykładam się,
Well, maybe.
bo każdemu mówię,
I'm a bit nutty. I like telling people in the face exactly what I think about them. I also sometimes like to dress in a crazy manner. Basically, I couldn't care less. I am who I am, and nothing could possibly change that. See you later, my diary.
That's very nice. Thank you very much.
No, jak czytałam, to widziałam bardzo dużo podobieństw między mną a Rutką. Rutka opisuje w nim, że nie da sobie w kaszę dmuchać, ja też taka jestem.
Despite her circumstances, Rutka reveals all the normal concerns of a teenage girl.
Z Jankiem też się jutro rozprawię.
Tomorrow I'll have
Powiem,
to
że
settle
jeżeli
things
chce się
with
ze mną
Yannick.
kolegować,
I'll tell
to
him
musi
that if he wants to be
przyjść
my friend, he
punktualnie.
has to be on
A
time.
jak nie, to
Or else
adios.
adios.
Tylko rozumie się w trochę
Obviously
innej
not in those
formie.
words exactly.
Zależy mi na
I
nim
couldn't care
tyle,
less
na
about him.
zeszłorocznym śniegu.
But I'm
Ale
curious to
ciekawa,
see the look
jaką
on his
minę
face.
zrobi. Micka znowu przyszła z furą
Mitska came
wiadomości.
round with lots of
Ktoś jej
gossip.
powiedział, że ściął sobie
Someone told
włosy
her
dla
I cut my
Janka,
hair to
że
please
jedwabne
Yannick.
pończuchy noszą
That
dla
I put
Janka
on
i
silk
tak dalej.
stockings for Yannick, and so
Wierutne
on.
kłamstwo.
That's a total
Jakby
lie.
doprawdy mi coś na
As
nim
if I even
zależało.
cared about him.
Why did you choose this? What did you feel?
Widać tutaj, że ona była normalną nastolatką i borykała się z tymi problemami, co my. Tak samo jak z Jańkiem i z tymi plotkami, które rozsiały się wokół niej i myślę, że nie podobało się jej to za bardzo.
Pisała jak taka właśnie dziewczyna z dzisiejszych czasów.
Rutka's diary entries move seamlessly between the everyday thoughts of a young girl and the brutal reality of life in the ghetto.
Jestem już tak przysiągnięta
I'm so
okrucieństwami wojny,
saturated with
że
the horrors
najgorsze
of this
wiadomości
war
nie robią na mnie
that even the
żadnego
worst
wrażenia.
things I hear have no effect on me.
Po prostu nie chce mi się
I
wierzyć,
just
że
can't believe
kiedyś
that one day
będę mogła
I'll be
zejść
able to go
na
out
dół
without
bez
a yellow
Wittgensteina.
star,
W ogóle, że
or
kiedyś
that this
będzie
war will
koniec
ever
wojny.
end.
What is your reaction to life in the ghetto?
Getto to było miejsce zamknięte, nie można było stamtąd wychodzić. Tak jak w więzieniu. Rutka opisała to wręcz przepięknie. Opisała swoje życie. To, żeby następne pokolenia mogły zobaczyć, co się tam dokładnie działo. Było to wręcz życie okropne, piekło.
I couldn't say it better than you. Thank you. Rutka was a teenager, and to see these girls reading from the diary, choosing the part they liked, all of a sudden there was Rutka for me in many, many voices.
Before they were sent to the ghetto in 1939, the Laskier family lived in a middle-class area in the center of town. It was once the heart of a vibrant Jewish community.
Wow. This is the house where Rutka's family, my father's family, lived before the war. I wondered whether the house exists or whether it was destroyed, but I couldn't believe that it is kind of in between. They were very modern people. They were very prosperous, very well-to-do. They used to go skiing in the winter, and in the summertime they would go to the seashore. They had a very nice life. I think it is very important to remember because that again gives us the connection to the people they really were, because they not really were the people that the Germans decided to diminish. They were people like you and me, like everybody, and you can really feel it from Rutka's notebook.
I'm completely absorbed with the longing for something beautiful, wonderful and distant. When I'm standing by the riverside and looking at a gushing waterfall, I feel something inside of me being lifted and taken far away.
The quality of Rutka's writing is remarkable. She had talent, but also a good education. Rutka attended the Fürstenberg Gymnasium, a private school for Jews, which is now a Polish state school. One of her close friends here was Linka Gold, who managed to escape from the ghetto and now lives in London. At 79, she's the same age Rutka would have been.
Before the war, it was a very happy-go-lucky atmosphere. Rutka was an attractive young girl, slim and tall, and she was very intelligent. She was a good pupil. And she had followers, a lot of boys, you know.
Zdaje się, że obudziła się we mnie
womanhood has
kobieta.
awoken in me.
To znaczy, gdy wczoraj leżałam w
Yesterday, when I
wannie
was taking a
i woda
bath and the
pluskała
water
moje
stroked my
ciało,
body,
zapragnęłam
I longed
mnie
for someone's
głaskać
hands to
ręce.
caress me.
Nie wiem, co to
I didn't
jest.
know what it was.
Dotychczas
I've never felt
jeszcze
like this
nigdy tego
before.
nie czułam.
Well, this is the first time I'm here and I'm really, really very excited. The minute I came in, it was what I expected, like an old gymnasium from the last century. It is really exciting to know that Rutka was here and studied here, and it's very meaningful.
Rutka mentions a number of boys in her diary. Most frequently, one called Janek.
Był u mnie po południu Janek.
Janek came around
Wśród
this
rozmowy
afternoon.
wyjechał
While we
nagle
were
z
talking,
tym,
he
że
suddenly
byłoby mu
blurted
bardzo
out he'd like it very
przyjemnie,
much if
gdybym
he
mnie
could kiss
całował.
me.
Powiedziałam,
I said,
możliwe,
Maybe, and
jadę dalej,
continued the conversation.
ale nie dam się pocałować.
But I won't let him kiss me.
Boję się, że
I'm
zburzę
afraid
w
it
ten
would destroy
sposób
something
coś
beautiful,
pięknego, jasnego.
pure. I'm also
Boję się,
afraid that I'll be very
że kiedyś się
disappointed.
gorzko rozczaruję.
Rutka była ładna, przyjemna, inteligentna, więc chłopakom się bardzo podobała. I ona o tym doskonale wiedziała, że ona się podoba chłopakom.
Mam zamiar dać się
I've
pocałować
decided
przez
to let
Janka.
Janek kiss me.
Ostatecznie
Eventually someone will
przecież
kiss me for the
kiedyś
first
ktoś mnie
time.
pierwszy
So
pocałuje.
let it be Janek.
Niech to będzie Janek.
Do you like him?
Lubię go przecież.
No, a miała konkurentki w koleżankach z kolei, a on, jak Janek, latał tu i tam. Posprzeczali się, to już nie lubi nie tego, ale cały czas myślała o Janku. Cały czas.
Zdaje się, już zupełnie zwariowałam.
I think I've gone completely
Budziłam się
crazy.
dziś rano.
Today when I wake up,
Skonstatowałam,
I realize
że
that I
nie
no
została
longer
we
have
mnie
any
ani
affection for
jedna
Janek.
doza sympatii dla Janka.
Most than half a century passed, but I think still relationships, it's the same there and the same today, and I think that is why it is so interesting for young people to read Rutka's diary, to identify with people that lived 70 years ago and were quite the same. They just had very different end, very different fate.
Shortly before the Nazis invaded and closed all the schools in Bedzin, Rutka wrote a dedication in her friend Linka's notebook.
Here it is. Ku pamięci. Ku pamięci means to your memory. Enjoy every bit of your luck and the moments of your luck, because they will fly away like the butterflies, and afterwards will be painful. And you'll feel sorry for yourself. Rutka.
Only a tiny minority of the Jews who lived in Bedzin before the war survived the Holocaust. One of them is the man who first told Zahava about Rutka's diary, Menachem Lior.
Menachem has a fascinating story. He escaped and he arrived to Israel when there was still war in Europe. There are very few cases like that. He was 1 year older than Rutka, and he used to know her.
Menachem has come to Bedzin to share his memories of the ghetto with Zahava.
We were 27,000 Jews in Bedzin, approximately 50 or 60% of the population. It was a very nice life in Bedzin. But when the war started, everything changed. We were afraid every day what will happen to us. This was an area where many Jews lived. There's a church, there is a castle, and it used to be here a big synagogue. When we were children, came here to play, especially Saturday or on occasions.
It's very beautiful.
It was very beautiful. It was for us an attraction to run between the walls of the castle. It was a very nice place. The main synagogue here, yes?
Where was it? Exactly where the monument is?
Here, yes. And
how big was it?
It was very big.
How many people could it hold?
A few hundred people.
Wow. What happened when the Nazis invaded Bedzin?
They occupied the town. They closed all the schools. They closed all the factories. They closed all the business of the Jews. They confiscate everything.
What happened to the synagogue?
After a week, they were in Bedzin. They burned the synagogue with all the people that were inside.
One of the first major events that was seared into the memories of the people of Bedzin was the burning of the synagogue, the main synagogue in Bedzin, with Jews inside of it who'd been forced inside. That happened right after the Nazis conquered. This is part of a larger picture. In Poland, we're talking about thousands of synagogues destroyed, and the ones that were left standing were the ones that were used either as refugee centers or as storage rooms and stables for the Germans.
This monument is a symbol for the memory of the citizens of the city that were killed viciously by the German Nazis in the time of the Holocaust in the year 1939-1945. The Friends of Bedzin built this monument in the place where the synagogue was standing, and it was burned and destroyed by the Nazis' occupation 8th of September 1939.
In this first phase of their persecution, the Nazis forced some 20,000 Jews to gather their possessions and move into the poorest area of town. Here they were exploited as slave labor. There was virtually no food for those who couldn't work. Kidnappings and beatings were commonplace, and a strict curfew was enforced on pain of death. The Nazis classified the Jews as subhuman.
It wasn't a pleasant feeling. Someone was watching you all the time. And I was scared because to shoot a person for the Germans was just like having a piece of cake. So we had to be very careful.
I am sick of these grey houses, of the fear painted on every face, fear which grips everyone and won't let go. Everywhere people are queuing up, queuing for potatoes, coal, bread. A policeman pushed an old man, who fell and hit his head on the cobbles. Over there, a woman is crying. Her husband has been arrested. Who knows if she'll ever see him again?
I remember horrible things happened in front of my house. We came home and on the trees were 2 bakers hanged. Why? Because they baked some bread for people. This I remember, which was very unpleasant and frightening.
The Nazis had worse horrors in store for the Jews of Bedzin, as Rutka recollects in her diary. On the 12th of August 1942, some 30,000 people were told to gather at a sports ground next to the railway line. Rutka, her parents, and 5-year-old brother Henius arrived here at crack of dawn. The stadium has since been demolished to make way for Bedzin's main bus station. But this has not dimmed Menachem's memory of that day.
I was here. I was a young child, a young boy. We were all together here, families, friends, waiting for something that we didn't know what. Most of the town was here. And suddenly we saw soldiers surrounding us with machine guns. When we saw the soldiers, we understood that something is going to happen here.
I looked beyond the fence and saw soldiers with machine guns aimed at us. People fainted, children were crying. In short, Judgment Day.
Well, my memory is very vivid. They gathered us all on the football grounds and they made a selection.
Nazi policy toward the Jews was becoming ever more draconian. The young and able-bodied were still to be used as forced labor, but those considered unproductive were to be rounded up for extermination.
At 3 o'clock, the selection started. Group 1 meant you could go home. 1A meant going to the labor camps. 2 meant going for further inspection. And 3 meant deportation. In other words, death.
Number 3 was Aussiedlung, which means sending to Auschwitz. And you knew that this is the end.
I think maybe for Rutka it was this time that she really realized that the plan is to kill the Jews.
I think it's the first time that not only Rutka, that everyone realized that they decided to kill the Jews. In such situation, you don't feel nothing. You are empty.
Yeah.
Just empty of feelings.
When the Laskier's turn came for selection, Rutka's parents and little brother were put into the group to be sent back home. But Rutka, along with her friend Linka Gold, was selected for the group to be deported to forced labor camps.
I walked over in a daze. Linka Gold was already there. The weirdest thing was that there were no tears. Absolutely none.
When I saw her, I said, keep together, let's stick together. But she disappeared from the crowd. And I never saw her again.
Then all of a sudden it started pouring. Little children were lying on the wet grass as the storm raged above our heads. The police were beating people ferociously and firing their guns. I sat there until 1 o'clock at night.
Part of the Nazi process, often in a roundup, was beatings and shootings. And Rutka describes that in the August 1942 mass deportation. Terrorizing populations into submission is something the Nazis were very good at. They don't want people to stop and think about options. What does this mean? What can I do? Where can I hide? But if you're being yelled at, beaten over the head, shot at, the natural human instinct is to run for cover, go like that and just do what they say. And that's exactly what they wanted.
There's the Polish area here, and not far from was the cemetery.
The Nazis organized the
Jewish
deportations
cemetery.
with great efficiency.
Was, destroyed.
The selection took place just yards from the railway lines, which led to the labor camps or to the death camps at Auschwitz, just 20 miles away.
This was the
There was a station, the rail station of Bedzin.
And that was the station from which
I think so. From this area, they took the people to Auschwitz. Yeah.
Rutka had been taken to a nearby building to await deportation to the labor camps. Imagining this to be a prospect even worse than death, she decided to risk everything.
I ran away. My heart was pounding. I jumped out of a window on the first floor of a small building. On the street, I ran into someone in uniform. I was pretty sure he was going to beat me, but apparently he was drunk, didn't see my yellow star, and he let me go. My head was spinning. Around me was dark like in a prison cell. From time to time, flashes of lightning lit up the sky and thunder. The journey home that normally takes me half an hour, I did in 10 minutes.
She ran away from the roundup in Bedzin, and that was risky and courageous. Most people who tried to run, as far as we know, were shot, so she evaded that as well. And I think that also not only reflects her courage and her initiative, that she saw a situation and said, I've got to get out of here, but it also reflects a sort of watershed. After that, although she's still an adolescent teenager, she's also a grown-up. She has an understanding of the world that most people never have.
More than 4,500 Jews were transported to their deaths at Auschwitz following the roundup. Rutka had escaped, as had Linka Gold, with help from a family friend. Back in the ghetto, Rutka describes how she was forced to start work in a Nazi sweatshop.
On Monday, I've got to be at the factory by 6:30 a.m. 6:30 is terribly early. I wonder what kind of job I'll have.
Rutka was set to work as a seamstress, probably in a uniform factory.
The days go by. Every day it's the same grisly day. I work from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's bearable. The work is quite easy. I'm getting through it somehow.
Forced labor and exploitation of Jews was a clear Nazi policy from the very beginning. It was absolute exploitation for the benefit of the Third Reich. Jews in Bedzin, many of them being skilled laborers because of the industries in the area, and others being craftsmen, tradesmen, were very useful to the Nazis because they gave them something. So you have the development of what was known as shops, which kind of workshops in various fields, textiles, shoemakers, and things like that, and they would work for the Nazis. And if you work as a Jew, then they don't send you away somewhere, and you also have the right to eat, because Jews don't have access to a grocery store. They have access to a food distribution center, but only if you're qualified. And if you work, you're qualified for yourself and several family members. So work for the Jews was a ticket to remaining alive.
For a while, Polish industry was considered vital to the German war effort. But once the Nazis had decided on their so-called final solution, the extermination of the Jews took precedence over exploiting their labor. For Rutka and so many like her, it was the beginning of a descent into hell.
Something has broken in me. When I pass by a German, everything seems to shrink inside me. I don't know whether it's out of fear or hatred. I saw how a soldier tore a baby, who was only a few months old, out of its mother's arms and bashed its head against a lamppost. The baby's brains splashed on the wood. The mother went crazy. I'm writing this as if nothing has happened, as if I were in an army and experienced in cruelty. But I'm young. I'm 14. I haven't seen much in my life. And I'm already so indifferent. I'm turning into an animal waiting to die.
Rutka was very reflective. I mean, she was able to look at herself and to realize what's happening to her personality. She says, I'm getting used to see this horrible thing. What kind of person am I? It's very sad. The fact that this young girl was witness to that.
In the spring of 1943, the Nazis started preparing for the ultimate fate of Bedzin's Jews. First, the entire population was crammed into an even smaller ghetto called Kamionka on the outskirts of town.
This is Kamionka. Here was the ghetto. It was a Polish area before the ghetto. No Jews were here.
Yes.
They threw out all the Polish people and put us in. They put many families in one apartment, in one room, 7, 8 people. It was very crowded.
So life was impossible.
Hard life, not impossible, hard life.
Hard life.
I wish I could leave all this behind and run away from all this greyish rottenness. Spread my wings and fly high and far away. Hear the wind howling, feel it blowing on my face. Fly to places where there are no ghettos, no workshops, no pretending. Enough now. I'm going to sleep.
All the time she was very much scared of moving to Kamionka.
We were afraid, yes. We were afraid of the change. It was worse, you have less space in the room to live.
This was the kind of dehumanization that the Nazis did to the Jews. They lost their dignity, they lost their comfort, they lost their freedom.
We tried not to lose our dignity. We tried, but it was hard.
You tried, yes, but that's what they wanted you to do.
Yes, but it was very hard.
Yeah, and
we tried not to lose. We were young, but old. What happened to us? Yes, very young in age, but old with other feelings. We suddenly lose our youth.
You lose your life.
You lose your life, you lose your friends, your family. You lose everything that was close to you.
The sun is shining so brightly. Outside the windows, apple trees and lilacs are blooming. And you have to sit in this suffocating and stinking room. To hell with it. The town is already empty. Almost everyone lives in Kamionka. We'll probably move there this week.
This was the last entry Rutka made in her diary on April 24th, 1943.
Bo mówi, nie wiadomo, co może być, prawda? I wtedy właśnie w tym takim bardzo złym nastroju była. Nie wiedziała, co następne dni przyniosą.
Fearing that her diary would not survive, she hid it under the stairs as arranged with Stanislava. There's no record of what happened to the family in the months after they were moved here to Kamionka. But in August, the Nazis carried out their final liquidation of the Jews in Bedzin.
They took out the people from the houses, brought them to the station, put them on the train and sent to Auschwitz.
Very efficient.
Very efficient.
The Laskier family were amongst 30,000 Jews taken to Auschwitz. The registration card of Rutka and Zahava's father, Yakov, shows that he was taken there with his wife, Dorka, and their children, Rutka and Henius, on August the 5th. He told Zahava how the infamous Auschwitz doctor, Josef Mengele, was waiting for them when they were unloaded from the cattle trucks.
They went there was Dr. Mengele, and he remembered him very, very vividly. And he hated this man, and he said he was standing there, and he was the one who decided to send the three, Rutka, Henius, and Dorka, to one side and him to the other side. And that was the last time he saw his family. That meant that he will be sent to work and maybe will have a chance to survive, and they for sure will send to the crematorium, to the gas chamber. And he knew it very well. And that was pretty much, as far as I know, the end. Very, very sad end of beautiful girl, very talented. This is the story of my family. This is the story of many Jewish families in Eastern Europe in that time.
But a startling new revelation may mean that Rutka was not taken directly to the gas chambers with the others. During the making of this film, Adam Szydlowski was contacted with a disturbing new piece of information. In 1947, a young girl called Sophia Mintz had dictated a witness statement detailing her memories of Auschwitz.
Zosi Mintz, która w jednym z kilku słowach, w jednym z akapitów swoich wspomnień poświęca tragicznej śmierci Rutki Laskier. Mogę powiedzieć, że nie spałem po tym całą noc, jak dostałem to, jak przeczytałem. Obok mnie w bloku sypiała moja koleżanka, Rutka Laskier z Bedzina. Była taka śliczna, że nawet dr Mengele zwrócił na nią uwagę. Wtedy wybuchła epidemia tyfusu i cholery. Rutka zachorowała na cholerę i w ciągu kilku godzin zmieniła się nie do poznania. Sama zawiozłam ją na taczce od śmieci do krematorium. Błagała mnie, bym zawiozła ją do drutów, to rzuci się na nie i prąd elektryczny ją zabije. Ale za taczką szedł SS-man z karabinem i nie pozwolił na to. Śmierć wydarzyła się w krematorium, bo Rutka, podejrzewam, nie miała już siły iść, więc ona ją zawiozła.
The new revelation has made headlines in Bedzin. Sophia Mintz didn't arrive at Auschwitz until several months after Rutka.
If Rutka lived as it implies 6 more months, it is very sad. I rather not think about it. I would rather think what I used to believe, that Rutka died immediately. For now, that's what I want to believe.
Whatever the exact details, Rutka died at Auschwitz, along with many of her close family members. Just a few of the 6 million murdered, 30,000 of them from Bedzin.
In memory of over 30,000 Jews
More.
from Bedzin, who've settled here for ages and generations and have been taken away and murdered by the Nazis, 1939, 1945.
Yes.
It's very symbolic.
Very
It's very
symbolic.
symbolic.
Zahava's father, Yaakov, survived a number of labor camps. After the war, he tried to make his way to Palestine, along with many thousands of other Jewish refugees. The ship he was traveling on was turned away by the British, and he was sent to a detainment camp in Cyprus. Here, he met his future wife.
Through all my life, I felt so sorry for him to lose children, and I couldn't understand how could he get his life back again. But he was a strong man with a lot of energy to continue. He was a wonderful person. I was very fortunate to have a father like this.
Having finally made it to Palestine, Yaakov remarried in 1947, and Zahava was born 2 years later. Long before she heard that Rutka kept a diary, Zahava named her own daughter after the half-sister she knew so little about.
Rutka was always a bit special to me since I'm named after her. I have the dark hair and eyes, so I guess I look a little bit like her, yeah.
In a mysterious way, I always felt very close to Rutka, and that's why I called my daughter Ruth.
Ruth now has 2 daughters of her own.
Rutka wanted the diary to be found. She knew that she's not going to survive the war. She wanted somebody to find it and to make it known to the world. And apparently this somebody is me. At my age, to find a sister and to get to know her through a diary, this is an experience that nobody imagined it will happen to them.
At daybreak, I got up and ran to the window. A tiny bit of golden sunlight was already peeking over the horizon. Less than half an hour later, I was at the foot of the mountain. I climbed higher and higher. More and more often, rocks blocked my way. Piles of rocks stained with moss, and roots of trees were twisted like embracing snakes. The sun flooded the mountain with its golden rays and outlined the green of the grass. In the distance, a thin bluish streak of smoke lit by shepherds could be seen far away.